Freddie asks, have you ever seen or heard of the leaked email Vince Russo once sent to Dixie Carter trying to get Jim Cornette removed from TNA Television? If so, do you think Russo had a point that TNA should have been going in a young, more hip direction rather than presenting the old school and uncool Jim Cornette as a major character on the show? I've got the email here. Do you want me to read it, or do you know?
I read it.
You've read it. Okay, tell
Yeah.
us the meat of the email.
Well, he wrote it directly to Dixie Carter, didn't he?
Yes.
And he was saying the way that we should be going is with younger guys, which I kind of agree with him there, and not using, in his words, dinosaurs like Jim Cornette on the show. Now, I can say that I don't totally disagree with him, but the reason he wrote this is because he didn't like Cornette. And Cornette didn't like him. How they both appeared in the same company is a long story. But I think what had happened was, I got to think about this. Jeff come back in as like the head booker or the head of creative. And we initially got Cornette to be on creative. And, you know, Cornette hates to fly, hates it. So he was driving from Louisville, Kentucky to Orlando, Florida every 2 weeks. You know how long that is? It's about 1,000 miles,
Yeah,
900 miles.
Yeah, about 900 miles, I think we worked out.
But he hated to fly. So got down there and he would stay for creative too. Then he would, after that TV, we would go back to Nashville for 2 days. And we would book the next 2 TVs and the shows we had. And then he'd be off for 10 days. So I think, if I remember this right, I think either Jeff got to talking to Cornette, or I forgot now, I can't remember, but wanted him to come in and see if he could help us, because he has a pretty good brain when it comes to the booking. So we brought him in, and Vince Russo was gone. I think this was when Dusty took over. And then when Dusty took over, he got rid of Russo. And then Dusty fell out with them. That went back to Jeff, which confused the talent. But anyway, we got Cornette in, and then all of a sudden they wanted to bring in Russo. And I went, oh my God, because I know how oil and water is going to react. So I went and told Jimmy during the tapings, I said, Jimmy, I just want to give you a heads up that I think I think Vince is going to come back. And he looked at me, he went, what? I said, yeah, I think Vince is going to be here for the next TV. And he says, okay, I quit. Just like that, I quit. And handed me his papers. I said, no, I don't want that. And he said, no, take them. I'm done. I'm not going to work for him. I'm not going to work. I said, come, Jimmy, stop. Quit being childish and quit doing this, quit doing that. So, and he gave me he may have took, I don't remember if I had his stuff or he took his stuff, but then I went and told Jeff, I said, Jeff, I told you, and it's not going to go over good with Jimmy. You might need to go talk to him. And he wouldn't talk to him. And they talked for like an hour, maybe more. And I guess Jimmy laid out his reasons for not wanting to work with Vince. And of course, Vince will lay out his reasons. He don't like to work with Cornette. They just don't like each other. So I guess Jeff, you know, he's a great salesman. He could sell a dying man a health club membership. That's how good he is. And he got Cornette over to the side and talked to him, and he's very convincing. And he says, I don't want you to go. I need you. I need him. You and Dutch, and we had a few more, Scott Demore, and he said, we'll keep that together, but I guarantee you, you won't have anything that you have to work with Vince. So he got a promise from Jeff that you won't ever have to work with Vince again. So you can be in the same company, you be in the same room. You just don't have to work with him and talk to him. Well, he accepted that because Jimmy blames Cornette for getting him fired from WWF that time. So this would have been the second time that he's done it. So along Vince's line of thinking, you can't blame him. And really, if Jimmy has any ounce of truth in what he's saying, you can't blame Jimmy for not liking Vince because Vince got him fired. Mm-hmm. So that worked for a while.
Well, let me read you the email because it's not like I completely disagree with the philosophy of it, but it's sort of who it's coming from as far as there's obvious hatred between the two people. But I'm going to read it to you, and you tell me. The first bit of the email is he's talking to a friend, and he says the friend felt like we're sending out mixed messages, and the pieces don't seem to fit. Now, this is October 2006. This email was sent. He said he saw one of Conan's group, LAX, that came across as cool, hip, and cutting edge. And moments later, he saw Jim Cornette on the same show that came across as a southern 1980s wrestling cartoon. Dixie, these were his exact words. I agree wholeheartedly with this, and I tried to tiptoe around it with Jeff, and he got defensive and mad at me. Right now in Samoa Joe and Kurt, we have two wrestlers about as real as can be, the closest to UFC that you're going to get. Then on the other hand, you have Cornette's and your Jeff Jarrett's to some extent. They're about as old school wrestling as you can get. It seems that in 42 minutes we have different brands, two different types of entertainment. My thing with Cornette isn't personal, I swear to you, in big capital letters. But I'm just having a huge problem with him representing TNA management wearing a canary yellow sports jacket when we go to prime time. Again, Dixie being hip is the key. Joe is cool. Angle is cool. LAX, you have guys like Truth and Hoyt. Then we shot ourselves in the foot when we go back 20 years. Again, I just wanted to make note of this. To be honest, if I was writing TV, a character like Jim Cornette would not be representing TNA management. I would rather go with an attractive, sexy female executive like a Tina Fey. Or like me, because I'm looking like Tina Fey with these stupid glasses on. So, with Vince's critique there, sounds to me like he's trying to edge out Jim Cornette and Jeff Jarrett out of his own company there to a point. But does he have a point in what he's saying?
Well, he has a point, I guess. But Vince tried to overhaul the business. He wanted to present this to a certain section of fans that we have found out later that are very fickle. They're not true fans. They'll be there for a year or two, and then they're gone. See, the old Southern style, the old brand, they're going to be there. They will be there through thick or thin. It could be the shits, but they'll stay with you. See, I didn't see a problem with Cornette because at least he knew what he was doing. He's talking about the young, hip female. We tried that too. That don't work. Where are you going to find a young, hip female who wants to go out there and do that? They just don't fall out of trees every day finding that person. If you found one, yeah, it might work. But we didn't have one. Trying to make one, you might be in worse shape than what you just got rid of. But that whole letter stems from Vince wanted it one way, his way, and I can't blame him for that either. What he was doing is instead of trying to work with the problem that he perceived as a problem, he tried just to get rid of the problem But in the process, he created more problems. He created more problems for Dixie, more problems for Jeff, which more problems for me. See, let's see if we can get this ship sailing smoothly. Once you get it going smoothly, then go to work on your bubbles in the water out there, so to speak.